What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for October 21st, 2022. And as of right now, I know this is new Philly, but I think the Sixers stink. And I can't figure out whether it's just still a combination of getting all of these pieces to mesh together or if Doc Rivers is the problem. And I mean, I don't know. And I'm leaning toward it's Doc Rivers, to be completely honest. Hopefully, the Elton Brand is watching this and isn't going to let this go down too far before it gets out of control. But they're broken right now, and there's no way they should have lost that game last night. No way. And I'll give. I just don't know. I mean, they came battled back after. I don't know how they got down 12, 13 points. Like they're not playing defense. And I don't know if that's the players. I don't know, again, if that's Doc. And I've had some issues with Doc in the past, so maybe I'm a little jaded that way. But there's definitely something wrong with this team. And yeah, I know there's only 2 games in, but when you have championship expectations and this is the year for the process, you can't let it happen and spiral too far. So something we'll keep an eye on here. I mean, maybe this Sixers team is going to give us a full year's worth of Back to the Futures that we can do. But in speaking of Back to the Future, that is my longer podcast, as I mentioned earlier this week. Be sure to check that out wherever you get your podcasts. This week we did a Sixers preview, and so far after 2 games, it looks like I was drunk when I was doing it. So hopefully, again, they will be able to turn that around. But check that out wherever you get your podcast. Back to the Future with a PH. Phil's game tonight, and maybe I have my red colored glasses on. I don't know. I just don't see any way they lose this game tonight. I think the way that game ended and the way that Rob Thompson and the players on this team have responded, at least in the postseason, to when things got tough. And I think even the entire season, if you look at it as a whole, when Girardi got fired, how this team rallied together. Bryce Harper got hurt. The team rallied and went on the run. I just think there's something special about this team. They're playing well together. No way. That crowd is going to be rocking tonight on a Friday night. Back in the from like 2007 to 2011, Citizens Bank Park was the place to be on any given night, but especially the weekend. Like there were times where we literally would just go, and we were like, "What do you want to do tonight? Do you want to go to the bar? No, let's go to the Phillies game." And I think that place is going to be rocking tonight. So I don't see any way they're losing tonight. So hopefully I'm singing the same tune tomorrow, but I think I will because this is New Philly now. New Philly. Hashtag New Philly. I did actually see some of you put that on social media, so let's keep it going. New Philly. New vibes. Sixers are going to turn it around, whether it's with or without Doc, but let's go. All right, so we're going to continue the good vibes and the New Philly mindset, and we're going to just get some good juju here for the Phillies. And we're going to go back today to 1980. So October 21st, 1980 was one of the most iconic moments in the Phillies' history. It was the World Series Game 6. They had a chance to clinch it at the Vet. They had their ace, Steve Carlton, on the mound. Third inning, Mike Schmidt opened up the scoring with a 2-run single. Bake McBride followed with another RBI in the 5th. Bob Boone knocked another one in the 6th, and the Phils were up 4-0. The Royals scored one in the 9th, or scored one before the 9th. Or no, I guess it was the 9th inning they scored it, as I'm thinking back on. Does anybody remember, like, during rain delays for the Phillies? And I think they still do it on Comcast, but there's so many other channels now that you just kind of flip when there's a rain delay. But when there was a rain delay and before cable and there wasn't that many channels, they would show like the yearbooks of the specific Phillies teams. Like 93 was You Got Whatever It Takes Dude or something with Lenny Dykstra and Kruk announcing it. But the 1981, and like I'm playing back, and that's why I'm saying, no, that was the 9th inning they scored it. During a rain delay, Tug McGraw gave up the 1 run in the 9th inning. However, Going into the ninth inning, they brought out the canine and the canine cops, the horseback cops to keep the fans from coming onto the field and getting crazy. It's just one of those crazy, I don't know, crazy scenes. And part of it, I think, was yes, they were being safe. Part of it, I think, still was an overreaction to the whole, oh, you threw snowballs at Santa. But whatever. It was a cool moment and it kept people out. But again, we know how this all run end. Phil's win 4-1. World Series champions. And doing some of the research for this, I did not know that they were the last of the original 16 teams. I guess when the World Series started in 1903, there were 8 National and 8 American League teams. And it took all the way till 1980 for the last of those original teams. So that means expansion teams like the Mets had won World Series before the Phillies did. But if you're keeping score at home, the Phillies did not choke in September and October like the Mets did. But we'll leave that at that. But Mike Schmidt won the MVP. And I think the comparison you can draw from that team to this team is that team was just it was very cardiac like they were bad for your heart. They would get down, come back, and they always battled back. They were never out of games. Going back to that series against the Astros, they were never out of games, and hopefully that might be a key thing we'll talk about in a couple weeks. And even in the World Series, they were down to like their last out, and Manny Trio got the hit off of Quisenberry's leg. And it's just that team was never out, and you just felt like they could win every game. And I remember like my dad, my grandparents, everybody talking about like how that team would give them heart attacks, but they always felt like they were in it. And kind of like the 93 team, kind of like the 08 team. Almost like this team. And I'm not necessarily ready to jump there yet. This is new Philly, but we got to take care of business against the Padres first. But would not be a surprise if they continue down that road. So on this day in October 21st, 1980, the Phillies beat the Royals 4-1 to win the World Series, and you had the whole Tug McGraw jumping up, Schmidt jumping into his arms with Pete Rose. Like one of the most iconic ones. And again, if you were a kid or somebody around my age or a little bit older, you remember during the rain delay, you'd watch those Phillies team yearbooks. So the Phillies 4-1 over the Royals this day in 1980. Sixers might be broken, but let's give them at least 2-3 more games before we're ready to go. If they start off 0-5, it's bye-bye Doc. But it doesn't matter right now. This is all Phillies tonight, all Phillies this weekend. The Eagles are on a bye, so let's go. Let's win 3 games and not go back to San Diego, and then we're on to Houston. So until next time, have yourselves a Friday, and I will see you when I see you.